It is a pleasure to meet you at this opportunity to put a brief readings on what's ahead for their honor Treasury Secretary, Federal Reserve Chairman, and the Federal Reserve District's presidents, and their honor U.S. Congress, Senate, and House of Representatives related committees to economy and economy financial structure. Let me focus on this brief message on what's ahead for the Treasury Secretary on what concern economy financial structure enhancement on two meetings. Meeting with National Governors Association and another meeting with the Association of States Treasurers. So everybody knows the administration and the Congress placed the budget sequestration as a result of the Budget Control Act 2011, which reflects on more taxes, in addition other consequences, and inflation, which means a reduction happens on states' revenues, and states, the Association of States Treasurers, they understand where does it affect each state. And as everybody knows, a number of cities, they have certain situation under discussion on each state. What's ahead on Treasury Secretary agenda to increase revenues? Pardon me. It is part of the Atif Entertainment, and the latest edition is to provide a number of solutions. It leads to a huge growth on revenues, and that's why those brief message videos became available. There are a number of things connect the Treasury Department and the states and states treasurers towards more growth on revenues. Any talk about tax code pardon me, any talk about U.S. tax code discussion or an additional notes, it requires, if you get back to my previous message, it requires Industries Development Division or unit at U.S. Congress or National Governors Association or National League of Cities or National Treasury Department or Federal Reserve and Federal Reserve districts. It is very important. From there, anything relates to tax or taxes becomes available. Without Industries Development Division, it is impossible to talk about tax codes or to become aware of any change happens at the present or in the near future or in the future. But if you have industrial development readings to predict readings for the present and the near future and the future, it becomes very easier. Pardon me. It becomes much easier to maintain grounds for contracts and contracting to more than 226 main and derivative industries, which includes the financial industry. The federal budget deficit, which demands an urgent increase on revenues, or essential cuts on federal budgets, and that is what the budget sequestration expect to maintain. But the U.S. economy financial structure and the states, I don't think, or businesses, they become happy with any additional taxes or an increase on goods and services cost, which comes after any type of cuts on federal budget, necessary or not necessary, urgent or not urgent, essential or not essential. It does reflect on cost of goods and services. What other availabilities the Treasury Department can start with to increase revenues, huge growth on revenues? Tax code, as I just mentioned, requires industries development. This is just an example. It is not available. And the most important part, the financial economy, financial structure needs to increase the economic activities to allow growth on real income, which does not take more taxes. It does take tax cuts or growth to keep the revenues growing and to balance on the federal budget deficit. The financial structure enhancement and the economic activities increase requires pardon me, an extra effort on the economy financial structure towards economy macroeconomics financial structure, towards economy macroeconomics financial structure, which brings microfinance towards levels increase contracts and contracting on more than 226 main and derivative industries, which brings an extra economic activities, increase the economic activities, and it does require more financial networks and more financial tools. The financial networks at this moment, U.S. economic financial networks not maintained enough. It's very works on a very limited range. And that is an indirect message to the Federal Reserve and Federal Reserve districts and to Treasury Department on their types of finance. If you remember, the U.S. economy works only on 2% of total U.S. economy financial tools. You can ask, what does it mean? How come it works on only 2%? What is 2%? Well, if you follow or aware about the economic indicators or anything related to finance, you can notice the federal funds rate and the Treasury securities. These are examples. It brings 2% of total financial tools. Economy, it does not give forward on financial alternatives or alternative finance. It's very important, no doubt about it, but the main real income track or growth cycle needs more focus, and it does find courage through alternative finance or cheap finance or the financial alternatives, as they call it, which relates to the issuance of securities, and talk here on a specific on Treasury securities, and there are types of it. It won't become efficient. As everybody knows, the main function for any issuance of securities, investment, to finance a certain objective, brings more growth and repay the debt. But what is happening, part of the allocation, it gets on federal budget, and without getting to details, there is an increase on if you get to the total U.S. total public debt, you will find the details. Where does it come from and how it keeps growing? And the growth on real income track, it does balance and clear the gaps and put back issuance of securities on its own, or on its main function and own direction, the investment, which brings more growth and it pays back it is obligation, and it won't become an additional obligation on the states treasurers or states budget, or on businesses in forms of taxes and any other reflection, financial reflection. The conclusion of this specific point, the financial tools needs more growth. National level, state level, cities level, businesses level. And that's what is expected from the His Honor and Treasury Department to maintain. What kind of additional financial networks, financial tools to become available on real income growth cycle, not the issuance of securities, treasury securities. Issuance of issuance of treasury securities adds more obligations if it does not work on investment. It takes to another important area, very, very important area, and I think His Honor experienced 4 years in the past administration on federal budget, and 4 years during His Honor Bill Clinton administration, but the federal budget did not find that much growth on revenues. It doesn't matter if the budget balanced or not balanced, because there are a number of things. The accounting, it does refer to there is financial readings, balance sheet and off balance sheet, and there are a number of things. It does appear, it does not appear, the money supply, the details, the issuance of the currencies, and a number of things. It does balance and it does close gaps, won't become visible or become invisible. But the real growth or real income track is the main focus, and that's what supposed to find the full attention. In addition to an extra effort on the treasury securities, which for more growth, it does demands levels of number of things. It's not the moment to talk about it. To generate, to multiply, it is amount, it is growth amount. And let me get back to the main point, which increases this growth on treasury securities, on real income growth, states, cities and businesses, and on the national level, which is the trade, imports and exports. Trade transformation depends on industrial development. Let me just give you an example. A company has production of a specific goods, which relates to commodities markets, which relates to financial markets, domestic and foreign. They have their production good for consumption in domestic range and good for exports. But there is a problem which takes to the balance of trade deficit and the fluctuations of the exchange rates, foreign exchange rates. It does take to a specific direction. Most of the opinions talks about the cost of production much higher, and that's why part of the companies they get to other direction to have their production on lower cost. Well, I mentioned in a previous message the lowest cost of production in advanced economies, but it's if well managed, and it does take two factors of production and how it works more efficient. And this is the point. The company has their production for domestic consumption and foreign export. How does the financial authorities see these kind of situation? Well, the reality says there is a decline, if you notice, on the economic activities, which means the financial service is not efficient enough on contract and contracting, which brings the economic activities, and that's why since or earlier than year 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013, FDIC takeover financial institutions kept growing. It means economic activity is not as supposed to. How does contract and contracting on more than 226 industries increases to increase the economic activities? The Industries Development Division or unit maintain these kind of areas to encourage companies, and the example I just mentioned, pardon me, to have their growth in domestic range and in foreign range. And that is part of the tax codes. There are a number of things related, but it doesn't find enough attention. It needs an extra attention. Any effort on tax codes, it does require industrial development and readings on national level, state level, cities level, and businesses level. And it does take to another direction I mentioned earlier, or definitions possible, not available if you read on economics, but it is much easier to understand the financial markets and commodities markets and types of economies, which is the raw material economy, data information economy, wholesale economy, and retail economy. Retail economy more advanced. It brings much more growth, and previous it keeps growing until it gets to retail economy. And there is other definitions, but in different framework: knowledge-based economy, market-based economy. But those, they have different frame, but the main directions to those, the step after step or level after level. Raw material economy, it gets to another level or advanced level, which is data information economy, to another level, wholesale economy, to another level, retail economy. It is not available at this moment. It depends on the readings, and that's what the business solution is about. It does needs the attention of the financial authorities. Federal government is under the President of the United States, the Treasury Department, Federal Reserve Districts, and their owner, U.S. Congress, Senate, and House of Representatives, to generate much of growth. And the Treasury Department, on their agenda, it does takes to several directions of new resources for revenues and growth on the final amount of the revenues. It is a pleasure to brief the expected agenda to His Honor meeting with National Governors Association meeting, and another meeting with Association of States Treasurers, towards more growth in revenues towards more efficient tax code, helpful, encouraging to businesses on their production in domestic range and in foreign range, referring to the necessity of Industrial Development Division in U.S. Congress or National Governors Association or Federal Reserve Districts or National League of Cities, or on each. It is necessary and efficient, and it does direct to more growth. Thank you very much.